Hey guys, so today we are going to be discussing what method I use for shadow work myself. I want to start by giving a little bit of an introduction, if I could talk, into how I got into shadow work, how I became a shadow worker. I, let's see, where would I start? I would say it was, I was in a relationship, and this relationship did not end up well. In fact, I felt as if this person betrayed me, and it was a very deep betrayal. And I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to give that person any airtime. But what happened was it sent me into this trying to understand myself, because it was really hard for me, even though the betrayal was very real. It was very hard for me to let that person go. And so, classically, I knew that it was a bad decision to hold on. I was like, this is not a good thing, but why can I not let go? And so it kind of forced me to start really thinking about what keeps me attached to this person. What is it that has me here? And I discovered shadow work. I started searching for how I could improve myself, how I could release this attachment I felt to this man. And I started my shadow work journey. Now, I did come across chakras at the same time, and I realized that studying the chakras and studying shadow work, they were connected. It was like shocking to me that most people didn't see them or see it, because a lot of people talk about healing the chakras, right? And then other people talk about shadow work, but I don't see people putting those two things together. So I'm gonna do it because nobody else is doing it. So let's talk about that. What do the chakras entail? When I started this journey, and I started with the root chakra, I realized that the root chakra is connected to us feeling grounded in our bodies, right? So when we feel that we hate our body, for people who despise this, and so they're constantly talking about, their meat suit, and they're joking about suicide and all things like that, it's actually a very big indication to me that they are not, the root chakra is out of whack, basically. Because the root chakra is our will to live. The root chakra connects us to the joy of being in our physical bodies, the power that we hold in being in a physical reality. So to me, the root chakra is like the plug, right? Any appliance, when you plug it into something, into electrical outlet, it gives it power. The energy flows so that if it's a light bulb, it'll light up, or if it's whatever it is, it'll work through that plug. The root chakra is our plug into this 3D reality. So when we are struggling with themes that have to do with our body, it has to do with our will to live, it has to do with our personal power, then most likely our root chakra is out of whack. Sorry, I'm like looking and I'm like all oily. It's at the end of the day, so please forgive me. Anyways, so when our root chakra isn't functioning properly, we do not feel empowered. Not only do we not feel empowered, we are most likely going to not really enjoy life, not really enjoy the fact that we are alive, not really want to live to our highest and best capacity, because we're not truly connected with our reality. We're not truly connected with ourselves. And that's a tragedy. So I'm going to be, for those of you who can't afford the course, and I hope I'm going to make it as affordable as possible, but for those of you who want to work on your own and don't really want a teacher or a mentor, I'm going to be giving you shadow work prompts, because right now I'm focusing on the root chakra because that's the one you should start with. So I want to give a little dedication to that. Why is the root chakra where we should start? Well, I have seen some, I don't know what to call them, because I don't think I don't think that they're healers, because if they were healers, they wouldn't do this. But I have seen some people out there instructing others to open their third eye, open their gifts, get in touch with their clairvoyance, get in touch with their clairaudience, get in touch with blah, 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 whatever the fuck they're trying to get them in touch with. Here's my take on that. Why the fuck would you open your third eye when you're not in touch with your physical reality? Like, do people not understand the concept of where projection comes from? Do we not? Let's talk about that. The root chakra is one of the many energy vortexes in our body, right? So I want you to think of the root chakra. You know how there's a four-leafed lotus representing the root chakra, right? That, to me, is indicative of the fact that the root chakra has 4 energy vortexes. Okay. Now you can use a pendulum to measure the energy vortexes of yours. In fact, I have, this is one of my favorites. This is not a pendulum. This is a pendant. This is a necklace. But I love using it as a pendulum because I can. So you can use anything. You can put a ring on a string. You can just something heavy, something to give it this energy here. And then I want you to draw 4 circles so that you can test yourself, okay? I want you to draw 4 circles, and on each of the circles, I'm gonna just do a little demonstration here, okay? So you're gonna hold your object, whatever it is that you're using as a pendulum, over one of the circles. And you're going to call that your root chakra vortex number 1. And we're going to check your energy levels. Okay, so right now I'm gonna check my own. I'm gonna check 1, okay? And I'm using my hand just because I want you guys to see the difference of when the pendulum is moving and when it's not. So my energy vortex in root chakra number 1, that sounded really convoluted. So basically what we're doing is we're checking the root chakra, which has 4 energy vortexes. We're checking the first one, okay? Okay, show me, oh, actually first, show me a yes. So you guys see, show me a yes, please. Okay, so it's moving, I think on camera it'll be different, but I'm seeing it move counterclockwise. Okay, thank you. Now, show me a no. Show me a no, please. So it's just moving back and forth. Okay, got it. Thank you. Is the first energy vortex in my root chakra, is it open? There we go. Counterclockwise, it's a yes. Thank you. Now that we know it's open, show me in which direction it's flowing. It should be flowing clockwise. Show me in which direction it's flowing. There we go. Moving clockwise. So from there, because my arms are hurting, I'm not going to be holding it up the whole time. From there, I want you to go by percentages. You would check, okay, at what percentage is it open? Now that we know it's flowing clockwise, which it should be, we ask to what percentage? And you start asking 10%, 20%, and still until it says yes, and then you know the percentage. Now, if it says it's counterclockwise, you're still asking percentage. But the reason I showed you that is because if it does go counterclockwise, if you ask, show me in which direction my energy is flowing, and it goes counterclockwise, then you will project. And I'm gonna explain why. Our memories, our trauma, our pain is stored in our body, okay? In fact, there's a book by Dr. Nadia Burke, I think it is, called The Deepest Well. And she really touches on how our physical trauma, our emotional trauma, basically our environment, right? And any pain or difficult experiences we've had along the way will manifest into physical illness. And I've had that theory for a while, and I'm so glad that she brought that out. But this is connected to that. And when we have a severe trauma or memory, and it's in our body, right? We haven't worked through it, we haven't processed it, or we thought we did. Checking your chakras will let you know if you really did. When our energy is flowing counterclockwise, that means that energy is being sent out. Okay, so first of all, especially with the root chakras, which gives vitality, energy, if you're sending energy outward instead of inward, that means that you are exhaling instead of inhaling. So where you should feel energy, where you should feel vitality, you're going to feel very low energy. You're going to feel very lazy, not having enough juice to run on, you know? So that's one sign that your chakras are either blocked or going, the root chakra, either blocked or going in the opposite direction. And if they are going counterclockwise, it also means that these memories, the thoughts, the pain that you've been through, you're sending out into the world. It creates a veil, a lens through which you are seeing other people. You see where I'm going with this? So when there are people around you acting in a certain way, and it's connected. So maybe it's a voice, maybe it's a sound, maybe it's a word, maybe it's a behavior, maybe it's the way that person looks, and they remind you, right? They trigger that memory. You're going to treat that person the way your pain remembers you should react. That's projection. So you can literally check if you are a projector through your chakras. You will know if you're actually seeing people clearly or you're seeing them through the veil of your experiences, of your pain, of your trauma. Not that that's bad or good, it just means that you haven't really worked through that, right? So therefore I created this program. And my meta program that I created is just so that we can work through these things, because I know what it felt like before and I know what it felt like afterwards, and I would never go back, because the feeling of power, the feeling of confidence, being so sure of myself, I would have never had that if I didn't do the work. And I want you guys to experience the same. So that's why I created the program. So there's two ways we can do this. I'm currently still coaching one-on-one, so you can contact me and we can talk about coaching. And we'll go from there. Or you can use the prompts that I'm going to be giving in the video, or you can sign up for the course that I will create, and that I am creating right now. So without further ado, let's get into the first question. When we think about our inner child, our shadow work, right? One of the main things that we really need to focus on was our environment. So I want you to get into a very calm, zen energy, as zen as you can, whether this means listening to classical music, whether this means anything, whatever it means to you. I want you to get into a very calm, very zen, peaceful state. And then I want you to ask yourself, what type of environment did you grow up in? What energy comes to mind first? Stable or chaotic? And when I say stable, I want you to really think about that, because I've had a lot of clients that tell me, oh yeah, my childhood was stable. And when I ask them to clarify what they mean by stable, they're like, well, the bills were paid. We had food on the table. My parents never got divorced. Okay, all right. And were you nurtured? Were you supported? Well, no. Okay, then it wasn't as stable as we would like to believe. So when you think about those things, I want you to really examine what stability means to you, what you define it as. Is it the fact that your parents never got divorced? Do you equate that with stability? Was it the fact that there was bills always paid, and you may not have ever gotten attention, love, affection, support, but bills are paid? And the reason that that's important is because your environment shaped who you are today. So if you accepted, let's focus on stability for a moment. If you accepted stability as, well, the bills were paid, there was food on the table, then that means that you are going to interpret that as stability today. So you could be with a partner who is physically abusive, emotionally abusive, verbally abusive, but they put food on the table. But they pay the bills. But they're consistent. Their present is consistent in your life, just like your parents were. And so you interpret that as stability. Do you see where I'm going with this? I want you to really examine if your mind, when you asked your subconscious, was I raised in a stable environment or a chaotic environment? And your subconscious said, oh, it was stable. Then I want you to ask yourself what you mean by stable. And I want you to ask yourself how that plays out in your life today. Because if you're just accepting consistency, material or financial security as stability, I have news for you. That's the bare minimum. That is the bare minimum. That's not emotional stability. That isn't mental stability, especially if you were the type of child that didn't get affection, didn't get attention, didn't get held, didn't get nurtured and supported. How was that stable? Think about it. And you can either comment below what it was for you, or you can just create a journal. I suggest you having a journal specifically for this. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, and you know what, before we move, I want you to think about that concept of stability. And the reason I say that is because I gave this example today, and it really keeps coming to mind, so I'm going to say it again. When you say, well, this person is consistent and, well, they haven't cheated on me, right? Because to you, you've learned to interpret that as stability, the fact that they haven't cheated on you. They're still there, they feed you, they pay bills, okay. That's like having a pet tiger and you are in constant fear of dying, but you're like, but it hasn't killed me, I am still alive. Yes, well, good. First of all, that's great that you're not dead, but that's kind of a very basic requirement for a pet to not kill you, right? Don't you want a pet that you can snuggle? Don't get me wrong, I love tigers, but I'm not fucking stupid. And I know that if I try to cohabitate with one without raising it from a cub or whatever special requirements people who raise tigers would follow, it would kill me. Especially because I look like a nice lamb chop. So yeah, that's not gonna happen. Don't allow the bare minimum to be your baseline. That's not, is that all you're worth? That's like saying, as long as you put me in a room and you feed me and I have a roof over my head and you don't kill me, I'm okay. Really? That's all you require? Hopefully you shift in that mentality and you start seeing your inner child like your daughter or your son. What would you require for your son or your daughter? Would you require the bare minimum for them? Would you say, oh yeah, you just, as long as you feed them, as long as you put a roof over their head and don't sleep with anyone else, you can beat them or you can talk shit to them. They're stupid anyways. Would you allow that? I certainly hope not. I hope not. If in the past that has been the case, then I hope that you speak to your inner child. Speak to yourself in the mirror and ask for forgiveness for that being the basic requirement. Because that's terrifying and terrible to put yourself through. So let's go to the alternative, the other side of the equation. Let's say that you say, well, my home was chaotic. Okay. When you say chaotic, do you mean there was constant yelling? Do you mean that there was physical violence? Do you mean that there was an unstable environment, as in you didn't really know where you were going to live next, you didn't know where your next meal was coming from? If so, then I want you to really think about how that influences you today. Are you the type of person that ends up with chaotic people because they feel safe? Because you're used to that? Because it feels like home? And so you allow people to create chaos in your life. And there may come a time where you're really tired and you're like, I don't know why I attract these people. And it's not so much about attracting them, it's about allowing them to stay. Because chaotic people will find all sorts of partners, right? But it's your boundaries that are coming into question. Who are you allowing into your life? Are you allowing people who will bring chaos to you? And if so, are you aware that the reason you're allowing that is because it reminds you of home? And again, if so, is that what we're going for? We just want to keep repeating the cycle that we grew up in. We don't want to improve anything at all. I don't know. Might want to think about that. Okay, so whatever your situation is, I want you to create affirmations around that. And the reason I'm saying that is because our mind, our subconscious, is constantly listening to us every day. It's like a little sponge. So when you're telling yourself, I'm stupid, I'm worthless, I'm not good at this, I don't deserve that, they would never do this for me, blah, 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 whatever it is you tell yourself every day, your inner child, your subconscious, your shadow is listening. And it's accepting what you're saying as truth, because our conscious mind is like a captain piloting a ship, right? Our subconscious is all the people in the engine room making it go. So if the captain says, turn 10 degrees north, they're going to do so. Even if turning in that direction is running directly into an iceberg, they can't see. They're trusting the captain to see. You are the captain, and you have to feed your mind with things that are going to improve your life, with things that are going to take you into a better course, better path, not running straight into disaster just because you're used to that. You don't want to do that. So create affirmations around the things that you've realized today that were troublesome for you. So if you allowed somebody to disrespect you based on how you were disrespected as a child, I want you to create that affirmation of I'm worthy of respect. If you allow somebody to physically abuse you, verbally abuse you, just because they're consistent and they don't abandon you, then I want you to create the affirmations of I am not alone. Because you're not. You are there for your inner child. And the more that you reassure yourself that you are enough, then the people that stay will have a higher quality. They will have more loving intentions towards you, more pure intentions. They won't be coming from a place of pain and trauma that they're projecting onto you. So I want you to really think about what you've learned about yourself today and create affirmations around that and say them as often as possible. Okay? So we're going to stick to just one question today so that we could go into a little bit of depth. And hopefully soon the course will be finished, and I will post it in the link below, or place the link in the description below. If you enjoyed it, please make sure you react, share, subscribe, and I should be uploading more content later. Bye.